Well, I asked Jenny to have a podium here, and I asked you to have a podium. I'm not sure that this is qualified for that. So, my name is Terrence Kane. I do own Systems Management Group, and Adam is my partner on Claydene Electric. And I did start in this business 20 years ago. I used to own cable systems, and I built the cable systems up and sold those to Comcast back in 2006. And one thing that 2008. One thing I realized during that period of time was that we, developers and general contractors as a whole, were hiring multiple different contractors to do a variety of different things. So fire alarm contractor, audio video contractor, telephone contractor. And one of the things that I thought of at that point in time was I could bring all those systems together and provide one umbrella for a developer to hire one contractor and have one finger to point at, which is what Systems Management Group really is. So one of the things that we really strived to do was to be able to provide a one finger or one contract for a developer, infrastructure, a community to look to be able to provide a lot of different services to a community. So I started that business with that idea. And one of the things that we've really come on over the last 20 years is that, 20 years ago, the World Wide Web was just started. So things have changed immensely as to how we function as a group, how we function as an entity, what we're looking for as a community, for the infrastructure as a whole to be able to use technology to our benefit. And really at the end of the day, what is technology? Well, technology is there to make things easier for us. And that's one of the things that we look towards the future is to how can we take solar and make it more useful? How can we take, can you imagine a home without light switches? I've talked to quite a few of you today about how you can have a home that doesn't need light switches. We have the ability to use thermal sensors so that you walk into a room and it's not a motion sensor which shuts off when everybody stops moving, which is annoying. I'm sure every new commercial building has the motion sensors out there. But with thermal sensors, you have the ability that it senses the heat that comes off your body. So you're a vertical person, not a horizontal, dog or a cat or something. So you walk into a room and it senses that you're there and the lights automatically come on. So one of the things that Adam's going to jump into is how does all of this technology tie with new energy resources? How can we use the environment around us to make it smarter? How can we use the energy around us to produce energy? 120 versus 12 volts, that every device that we have, all of this stuff here plugs into a 120 outlet, and it really uses 12 or 24 volts DC. So how can we build these facilities and these infrastructures to be smarter? How can we make them more adaptable to what it is that we're doing? And we have such, I had a whole agenda of stuff that I was going to talk about earlier today. And I've talked with so many amazing people today that I really got a real sense of what the Denver Icon has the potential of doing for our community. The one thing that after talking with people, I realized that we abuse the environment so much, we don't even realize it. And something like this has the ability to teach and tell every one of us that we have the ability to change the environment that we're in by using the environment that we're in. And a water wheel that produces energy for a multifamily complex, the ability to put wind technology, solar technology on a commercial building, the grow houses that are all over town. You all smell I-70. We live here, it's Colorado. The ability for us to take this avenue and to really adapt it and say, look, we are going to make Denver the spot where we are using the environment to benefit us, to not abuse us, or abuse it, to get rid of having the 120, the power, the coal, so on and so forth, and give back to the people that are going to come beyond us. And that's, Internet of Things is a lot of different technologies that are using Wi-Fi to make our lives easier. And that's really what I was going to talk about tonight. But after meeting with a lot of the individuals and Jeff, and I really got a different sense that this is much bigger than what I thought it was. And for us to have the ability to change the way that the mentality is when people move into this area, and this area is changed, and we're so grateful that that we do have the infrastructure going in, that we can take something like this and people get to walk in and they see the Denver icon in the river, and it's actually producing electricity. It's going to make people think ahead of what can we do as a community to help not abuse what it is, but to use what we have in order to make a change. And I just, with talking to some of you guys today, that was really what, I totally changed what it was that, I was going to, because I think that that's so vitally important. I'll grab Adam and let him get started, but this was having the opportunity to talk to a lot of you guys today really changed what my thought was, is how important this really is for this community, for what's happening, the amount of new construction that's going on. I think Adam has a good list of over here of multifamily, and what's that going to do for the environment? How can we change how that's going to, how can we take this water wheel, put it in the river, and change how the economic, the environmental usage that each one of these new developments, and these are only a beginning of what's coming down the pipe for this neighborhood. So I'll bring Adam up here and let him hop into more of what the water wheel is and go from there. But I'm, after being here today and talking to some of you guys, I'm super excited about what this potentially is going to do for this neighborhood. So Adam.
Hello everybody. Thank you for spending some time with us this afternoon. This project means the world to me. It's a personal thing to me. It has to do with my business, and it has to do with the future of our town. So I won't bore you to death. I hope I have some gratitude. I want to thank my two partners at Claydene Electric. That's Terrence Kane and Owen Myron. Owen couldn't be here tonight. Those guys have afforded me the opportunity to be here today with you people, and they're pretty incredible individuals to be able to work with. I want to thank Jeff Shoemaker, Devin Buckles from the Greenway Foundation, and the Water Connection. They were willing to pick up our water wheel project when nobody else would, and help us move this thing forward and get to this room and have the opportunity to explain today what we're doing. I'd like to thank our biggest and most supportive industry partner, Rexel. A lot of times we take suppliers for granted. In this case, I don't take them for granted at all. They're a critical part of our success, our day-to-day opportunity to continue to operate and take care of our people. Krista Miller is takes care of our account. She has been an advocate of ours since day one, and I honestly don't think we'd know you fine people without her help. Last but not least, Bernard Hurley. He couldn't be here with us tonight, but he's got his staff from Family Environmental and Minalto Development. He just doesn't take no for an answer and is making sure that we move forward. So I appreciate him. To start, I spent a lot of time obsessing over this speech this weekend, and I realized that what I should be doing with some advice from somebody very dear to me is tell you the end first. So I'm a 230-pound construction worker, and I'm going to try to share with you my vision of how I think this thing ends, and it ends with the night that we open the water wheel. So I have a story I'm going to read, and then I'm going to try to get away from this paper as quickly as possible. So imagine the water wheel is constructed, it's sitting in the river, it's covered in a veil, it's a warm, clear summer night, and we're sitting by the river with a large crowd, and we're all immersed in the energy of 1,000 people, all waiting to see what has never been seen before. The influence of positive energy and intrigue thickens in the air. The sun is setting and a crisp evening breeze blows against our faces. As the sky continues to darken and the gathering of people calms. The love of your life is close and moves closer. There is a clarity that sets in coming from being surrounded by family and friends. And at once, a cumbersome voice fills the air saying, "Welcome." Whispers turn to silence in wake of the greeting. Tonight we have something truly special, something never done nor shown before, the voice echoes. The collective heart beats faster. The voice continues, as citizens of this great city, we are all here tonight to witness and celebrate something truly remarkable. Tonight we take the gentle flow of our beloved river and borrow some of its benevolent potential and return it without damage. In its use, we are not only going to light up this park, but also stand as a beacon to commune and feel safe while getting to know your neighbors, friends, and build families. So the veil gets removed and the Waterwheel comes to light. The sound of the river fills our ears and the gentle softening of light fills our eyes, not just in front of us, but all the way down the promenade and the pavilion that we're building here at the River North. The idea is the wheel starts to turn and our eyes are lit and our hearts are warmed by the notion that we're borrowing energy from a river and returning it without any impact to our environment. As we immerse ourselves in the idea of borrowing this energy from a river and spreading it through our community, we realize a few things. We realize that our community can be a part of a sustainable culture. That those of us that go home to an apartment complex, that go home to a neighborhood, can come back tomorrow to a community that gathers around a common place. The romance and the love and the community that we get from something like a Waterwheel, like an icon for our entire city, I think is priceless. It's something that River North has to offer. I think it's part of the genesis of our development for this part of our city. So if you can imagine watching this 50-foot wire Waterwheel slowly start to turn and watch a mile-long stretch eventually, right now it's shorter than that, come to light, and the understanding that there's no consequence to having that energy. The photons that are hitting your eyes are generated by something already happening. The Platte River, as it flows through our town, has an energy and an energy potential. What our Waterwheel represents is being able to harvest that energy and show it in a different light to our community, to our friends, give us an opportunity to build family. Give us opportunity to get to know people we wouldn't know before, people we would walk past in our apartment complexes right as we walk down the hallway. On a night like this, it becomes something very different. It becomes part of our city. It becomes part of the people that we care about. It becomes part of the people we haven't yet met and will eventually become important to us and become part of our families. This is what I think our town needs. Icons in Denver are in short supply. We all know the cash register building. If you live on the west side of town like I do, you can't even see it anymore. I don't know that we have a beacon that brings us together. I believe that our design, I believe that the Denver icon is something that can bring that back to our city. And I think it's very well placed here in the River North Arts District. So having said that, it has another benefit, the Nautilus. Devin Buckles, Jeff Shoemaker from the Water Connection, and the Greenway Foundation have proposed this idea. Claydine has taken on the idea of actually constructing it. So in addition to being able to generate electricity and bring community to the River North and our entire city, we have the Nautilus. It's a Nautilus trash removal system. It's conceived by students at Metro State University. The idea is that it filters the water as it flows into the Waterwheel, removes debris and trash entirely from the water flow of the River North, or of the Platte River, I'm sorry. The result is a cleaner, safer, healthier river than what we've had before. So what we have now is a double benefit. We're building energy from the flow of the river, and we have the Nautilus, which is physically removing trash from the river. So we're harvesting electricity, we're harvesting energy that's already flowing, and we're leaving it in a state cleaner than we found it. So not only is it renewable, but we're actually leaving the water better than what it was before it got to our Waterwheel. So there's a personal side to this I'd like to speak on. Why would a group like SMG and Claydine get involved in a project like this, right? Like we wire apartments. We wire commercial and mixed use properties. Certainly there's a safer means for us to operate from than taking a risk like something like the Waterwheel from being involved in our communities the way that we're having to be. The answer is frankly chance. I'm willing, and with the support of my partnership, Greenway Foundation, Hurley and Family Environmental, Rexel, everybody in this room, to make a statement, right? I feel like a lot of times Denver is the underdog. I don't understand that. I watch our city grow. I'm born and raised here all my life. I've lived nowhere else. But we're constantly the underdog. And I just can't help but to look at this project like an opportunity where we're setting the standard for the rest of the country and maybe the rest of the world. The water's flowing down the river. It's happening right now. There's a lot of energy in water. Why wouldn't we harvest that, especially in a way where not only are we returning it to the river, but we're leaving it better than we found it thanks to the Nautilus project. The truth is, this town is sacred to me. I was born and raised here. It's where I'm from. When I travel around the country, the first thing I tell people is that I'm from the city. And I see that look in their face, right? Like, you're from Denver. Denver has the Broncos, we have the Nuggets, and you have that funny shaped building on the west side. Well, it's a whole lot more than that. We have innovation, entrepreneurship. I've been on my own as an entrepreneur since 2003. It's important to me. The people gathered in this room, one way or another, are a result of somebody being an entrepreneur, being able to take the risk in an environment like we have here in Denver to succeed. It's a place that I have failed in before. I have found success in. Denver is a place that I have found love and that I have fallen in love with. Our Denver Icon project is a way to give some of that back. So, to bring us back to the beginning, here in the Blue Moon Brewery, I was having a pretty fateful lunch with a friend of mine, Mr. Hurley. He mentioned to me a project that he was building. He mentioned to me the Promenade project and asked if I had any input. And I'll be honest with you, I completely pulled straight out of my ass the idea that we could build a water wheel and park it in the river. God bless Bernard for his faith. He snapped his fingers and said, that's it. I spent a few months terrified of my phone ringing and have it being Bernard Hurley calling me up saying, well, when are we going to build the water wheel? As those months passed, I found out later he would join us at a baseball game at the SMG booth at the Coors Field. And he walked right up to me and asked me specifically if I thought we could build a water wheel. My response was, I have no idea. It seems kind of crazy. I know we were having a hamburger and maybe a beer, and then we decided to build a water wheel, but this is a large undertaking, and he challenged me to undertake it. And so it began. We started to gather support. We discovered options. We got to know the Greenway Foundation. We got to know all kinds of community and political support for our town. And for some reason, this project draws energy out of people. It charges itself. It's almost like it's fate beyond what we can possibly control. And so, along with our community partners and along with our other industry people, we started the trial and error. A lot of trial and error. When you're just a construction worker / electrician and you're tasked with designing a water wheel, it's a little overwhelming at first, but I think we managed to have something that's successful. The result is a 50-foot diameter, 8-ton water wheel built out of titanium, propelled by the natural flow of our river. Our calculations are about 26,000 watts of energy. That's enough energy to light up our entire promenade project. Since its genesis, we've learned of a new project, something that bridges both sides of a community, a bridge that goes from the east side to the west side in proximity. It's a very special bridge. It brings both halves of the River North community together. We're not sure exactly that we'll be able to light up that bridge, but it's an opportunity that we're very passionate about and that we hope comes to fruition. So what we're talking about, if you think about it, right now that river is flowing. We harness some of that energy. We all gather around, like the story that I told in the beginning. The sun goes down, the lights come up, the water wheel is unveiled, and the photons that hit our eyes are literally produced from the flow of the water. It's flow that we borrow temporarily and that we put back to the river, and that makes it completely and totally sustainable. There's systems proposed like this all across our country and all across the world. This is a statement that speaks directly to that opportunity. It's something that hasn't been done before. It's a huge risk, right? There's some engineering feats we have yet to come over. It's a concept. But what I do know is the energy is there, and it's available for us to harvest, and it's available for us to leverage, and it's available for us to use to bring our community together. So the idea is that tonight, we put kind of a crown statement on what we're trying to do here. We're trying to promote a new centerpiece for gathering, sharing, romance, and community in the River North and in the Denver metro area. So the idea is that there's a message. There's a message in an icon that encompasses a city. And when we use an icon to broadcast a message, we include the entire city along with it. There's motivation by everybody to participate in something that makes our environment and our communities better. We take neighborhoods and apartments and we create commonplace under a common statement. We bring people together, we break down walls, and we add to the foundation of our city's culture and our living community. And that to me is what not only our city, but what I think the Denver icon can be an example of, not only locally, for the rest of the country, and frankly for the rest of the world. And so that's our ambition tonight. So I'll conclude with everything else aside, to invite each and everybody in this room and each and everybody else who might hear about this project together to come along with us and join us in this journey to bring our icon to fruition, to bring it from a concept to a living, breathing part of our great city. To share in the message that Denver is not just a great city, but that we can go further, our passion runs deeper, and we are not afraid to set the pace for the rest of our country or the world. The time is now. I believe the place is here. And I think the people in our communities have longed for an opportunity to express that. So with that, I thank you. I appreciate everybody who's here tonight. And if you have any questions, I avoided technical information for not having to put anybody asleep. But please come see me afterwards, and I'm happy to talk. Thank you.